great artist. On the phone with me is Roger Wicker. Good morning, sir. Senator Roger Wicker.
Paul.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Well, I guess so, but I think everybody was a little shocked and dismayed about the way the election, or the election, God forbid, the way the debate happened. You watch it at all?
Oh, I watched every minute of it. Absolutely. I'm up in Washington, and I watched it by myself, so I didn't have any distractions. I didn't go to a debate party or anything like that.
I don't know. I think it's probably better to watch something like that with somebody there for therapy, because as someone who probably screaming at the television, it's. But let me say, maybe you have a different view of it. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's hard to debate 3-on-1. It really is. And from the very, very start, the first question to the vice president was very good. It reminded me of Ronald Reagan back in 1980 against Jimmy Carter. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And when Kamala Harris decided not to answer that question, but just to go into my vision for a great America that brings us together and makes us all as one, you expect the moderator to say, that's all very fine, but to get back to my question, are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? And, of course, the answer would have to be no, or she's completely devoid of reality, with the millions coming across the border and the inflation where groceries are over 20% more expensive, and it's really hurting grocery stores and really hurting families. That question didn't get followed up on.
Yeah.
But then for the next 90 minutes, whenever Donald Trump said something that either of the panelists didn't agree with, they were quick to very gently say, of course, we fact check that, and that's not true. So 3 against 1 is hard to do. I don't think it's going to mean that much 8 weeks from now, because basically the election is about the fact that we were a whole lot better during those 4 years of Trump, irrespective of the fact that there was a worldwide pandemic that he had nothing to do with. But inflation is worse. Illegal immigration is out of control, and you're dreaming if you don't admit that. And we've just had a show of national weakness, which invites the strong men and the dictators of this world, and that access of aggressors that I've been talking about to do dangerous things.
One of the tactics, and forgive me, but it's exactly what you said. It's cheese on the mousetrap when they ask the first question, and you think, okay, here's the tempo of this. It's going to be fair. It's going to be nice. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit tough for, I can't believe they're asking, oh, this thing is starting out great. Everybody's going to be fair and square. And then, boom, the mousetrap goes off, and it happens every time like that. So I'm not real surprised that the first question is a lead-in. But when you look at 100% of the coverage on ABC is negative to Trump, and 93% of the coverage on ABC is negative on Trump, and 100% of the coverage on ABC is positive to what do you expect?
Well, that's a decision that I didn't get to make. No, I would not have agreed to that. And at the very least, I would have said one ABC questioner and one from someone from the center right, shall we say? But we didn't get that. Another thing that she really got away with, the vice president got away with, is why have you changed positions? And she said, well, I'm going to go into depth about that. Well, she didn't, and basically she hedged and came very close to prevaricating, if I can be charitable, about fracking. And, that is a very important issue because through God's grace, our country and our continent have great supplies of clean natural gas. And because of ideology, people like Kamala Harris have assured people in the past that they were very much against fracking because they think anything that you have to set fire to and burn to create energy is bad. And she just never was pressed on that. There was never the follow-up question. And frankly, I wish President Trump had said, well, if the questioners aren't going to follow up, perhaps I should. Let me give you some more time to finally answer the question why you've changed positions on this.
He did look kind of tired last night. And the other thing, too, as far as the practice is concerned, you would hope that these people had done this in practice in some of the faux things that they were going through. But you don't want to use your time because one of the tactics is put your opponent on the offensive with absurd charges that he has to just counter, and he'll spend his time trying to tear down those and answer those questions. So you're always putting him in the defensive. And that's exactly what she did. He should have said, you are lying to the American people, and that's an insult to their intelligence that takes about a second and a half, and then go on with a statement. But wasn't prepared.
Well, look, we've got 8 weeks, and the truth of the matter is people are going to vote on really that very first question. Are you better off now? And of course, clearly we are not better off. We have a self-inflicted inflation that is really making it hard for working families and middle-class families to go to the supermarkets. And you can talk to the people at your corner grocery store, at the convenience stores, and at the Walmarts and Kroger's of this world, and business is down. People can't spend as much.
Senator, I'll tell you this:
through the roof. Illegal immigration is through the roof, and we have an administration that is not willing to face up to the fact that there are 4 members of a very aggressive axis that are intent on giving us trouble if we don't show signs of strength.
If price controls are entered as a viable option in the Harris administration, you ain't seen nothing yet, and that's scary to a lot of people.
Absolutely. It is. It really is kind of something that might have come out of the '60s. Mm-hmm. And I back when I was a kid, I very much supported Richard Nixon over Hubert Humphrey. But I will tell you that one of the great mistakes Richard Nixon did was wage and price controls. Yep. It didn't work. And then writ large in the old Soviet Union, they caused long bread lines. And she's the vice president is talking about passing legislation to prohibit what she at first said was price gauging. She meant price gouging.
Yes.
And honest to goodness, that's what had people lined up in Moscow and all over Stalingrad back in the Soviet day. It doesn't work, and it's absolutely un-American. And it indicates to me a misunderstanding by the second highest officer in the land of how our great American free enterprise risk-taking system works. And we do not need this person or her ideas populating the agencies of the executive branch.
We got a break coming up, and I know you want to cover a couple of other things. Just one more thing. You're saying basically what I hope a lot of people understand. There's a little caveat in there, though. where you've got Haitians bringing mattresses in your front yard, camping out, and they're eating your dog or your family cat, and where you have no money at the 15th of the month because it's all gone to illegals or somebody else, then you look at the situation on November the 5th and you say, well, this is a hard decision, and to me it was Trump, but all until, well, Taylor Swift, she got the endorsement, so I guess I've got to vote for Kamala.
I don't.
All right, more coming up in a moment.
The Department of Justice of the United States back in the business of justice. We will double the Civil Rights Division and direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
Senator Roger Wicker, which means that the next administration would be the judge and jury on what an assault rifle is and what hate speech is, and that is scary.
Well, on the other hand, what we really need to do is shrink these agencies. And we actually had a very, very significant Supreme Court case just a few weeks back. It's called the Chevron case. And basically, it's one of the hidden gems coming out of the Supreme Court. Basically says that the elected officials who are at the top of these agencies are going to have a lot more to say about how the law is enforced than these bureaucrats. And so the idea that we need more people in these big brother policing agencies, I assume that was the voice of Kamala Harris from earlier years. That is exactly what we do not need. We need to return the enforcement of laws to the people that the president, the newly elected president, has chosen, and let the will of the people be reflected. We've got people in agencies now that they don't care who the president is. They're going to do it the way they've always done it for administration back to the Ford administration. So that is a very troubling quote, no matter when Kamala Harris may have said that.
Let me ask you a question here. What would it take for a Harris administration to finally be able to reshape the Supreme Court?
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you how important a Republican Senate is going to be, and we're really at the we have a great opportunity, almost there, in terms of winning West Virginia and Montana and Ohio, and putting those three Democrat seats as part of a Republican majority. And if, God forbid, we have a Kamala Harris in the White House, that will be a huge check on the leftists that she would put on the Supreme Court. And I really can't think of anything short of the presidency itself. I can't think of anything more important that will occur on Election Day. We absolutely have to get Chuck Schumer out of the leadership of the United States Senate. A lot of people don't realize how a bill gets to the floor in the Senate. It's the way it's always been since the Constitution. But the majority leader controls like 95% of everything that gets to the floor. And if we have a Republican Senate, we can stop a lot of things. I think really we'll have a chance if the American people are where I think they are. I think we'll have a chance to help Donald Trump and the second administration implement a lot of the great changes that we made 7-8 years ago when we cut taxes on job creators, when we lowered regulations on job creators, and the result was a very, very low unemployment rate and a high increase in our gross domestic product, our economic measures. I think, but regardless of who gets to be president, who controls the Senate controls that Supreme Court.
Thank God we got a House that's they've got the gavel in the House. That's helped a little bit, at least with the investigations.
That's going to be very close. We could win it or lose it, and it all depends on the next few weeks.
Here is something that'll scare you and cause therapy. I believe, and I've heard this from a couple of different people, if she gets in this election, she will be there for 8 years. She will get reelected for the next 8 years, and it will gradually just get to the point where America is not America. Secondly, there are people saying if she does win, there is a real possibility Donald Trump could go to prison. And when you wake up after November the 5th, we might be living in a totally different world. Look, we had other things that we needed to talk about. We didn't get to them. You can't be a stranger. I'd love to get you back on soon, sir.
Well, and listen, rest assured, we are watching that hurricane and
yes,
very, very mindful of it. And
especially on this
whatever
date.
assistance we can give.
On this date of September the 11th, and I wanted to cover that. We'll do it at 8:30. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you,
Roger
Paul.
Wicker.